I'm Rex Rogosh, and let's queer up the USA View. Quote, they killed my wife, end quote. The LGBTQ community seeks answers after ICE shooting in Minneapolis. A newly circulating video is intensifying scrutiny of a deadly federal shooting during a major immigration enforcement operation in Minneapolis, one that's shaken communities across the country. In the video, a woman sits in the snow with her dog, visibly distraught, saying immigration and customs enforcement agents shot and killed her wife, 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good. The woman sobbed, saying, quote, they killed my wife. I don't know what to do. We stopped to videotape and they shot her in the head, end quote. Good was killed Wednesday morning during what Department of Homeland Security called the largest immigration enforcement surge ever in Minneapolis, involving about 2,000 agents. DHS says an agent fired defensive shots after allegedly a vehicle was weaponized, calling the incident self-defense. But multiple videos appeared to contradict that account, showing an SUV attempting to leave before shots were fired. Civil rights groups nationwide are now demanding accountability. If you haven't heard about this story yet, you will. I listened to a lot of the news today, and I was appalled, is the best word, to hear our government defending the gentleman who shot this woman. And the defense that they were using was even more appalling. They said that he was triggered because not but 30 some days ago, he was hit by another car in another incident and had stitches and everything, and that this was a logical defense move for somebody who had been hit and struck by a car before.
Worse than that, Christina outright came out to label the victim a domestic terrorist, saying
claiming that she was trained. They're claiming that she was a terrorist trained to do this.
The right-wing news cycle has already called her a paid agitator.
Right.
That she is, she is paid. She is deliberate. She is a terrorist.
Because I quote tweeted on Blue Sky the actual clip. She literally claimed that she was they're like the left is training people to hit ICE agents with their car. That is what she says, which I found a little funny because isn't that what Ron DeSantis used to encourage people to do to protesters? But that's another story. This was something that I view as murder, and I believe this killing should be the thing that gets us all so angry that we finally get out on the streets and stop this. There is no we're past any point of logic at this point, people. The crimes that are being committed to immigrants in detention centers is starting to look like serious attempts to end people's lives. We're seeing them. They came to Minnesota, by the way, and did this whole thing because of an alleged Somali gate, alleged fraud, which
was
has been found to be
used by a right-wing agitator who literally just want to smear Tim Walz and his campaign.
And they've used it as an excuse to go and harass yet another community. And we are not seeing states do enough to fight this. They have their own police forces. Why are they not providing protection? Why are they're saying, well, the FBI has taken over the investigation. There's nothing we can do. Says who? Luigi allegedly shot and killed someone in New York. The state and federal both did their own charges. Why not do your own charges? Why just press charges and figure out where it goes?
From what I understand from the press, these two women were dropping off their son at school, and this happened immediately afterward. So it doesn't sound like a premeditated thing. I mean, let's do the checklist. I'm going to drop my son off. Oh, I'm going to commit a premeditated crime. Doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and then it's now even kept going. They're having protests and they're having vigils at a school. And there was a person who went to this vigil because they thought they would be protected because they were like, oh, ICE isn't going to show up at a school. And ICE just recently showed up at that school and maced people, including students and teachers. So, I have a lot of problems, but the biggest problem that I have is that we're using justifications for poor and bad behavior that don't equate. So again, now we're on this slippery. We've already been on a slippery slope. I mean, this thing's greased with Crisco, and we're barreling on ice skates with this. But now we're using not a local government, not a mayor, not a state government. the federal government and the president of the United States is using justification of bad behavior to say, no, he did this in self-defense. When every video, every smartphone, every body cam, everything, and even the local law enforcement said her tires were going the wrong direction, that like just that alone, people are saying no. Professionals are saying no.
But the point isn't truth. The point is to remind us all that
It's
they will do
gaslighting.
whatever they want. No, it's past gaslighting. We're now at the next stage, which is going to be, we can do whatever we want with impunity. That's why we really have to understand that this is bigger than, you cannot vote this situation out. You have to go so much farther. We have to start thinking about things like national strikes and thinking about, we might have to think about bringing this country to a whole new place of activism and protest and resistance that we've never done before, because guess what? It's not going to end with this woman.
Correct.
And that should terrify us all.
And they were saying in the new, like, these ICE agents are there and they have immunity. Like, he is saying that
impunity, not just immunity, literally just they can do whatever the hell they want.
And we're talking about deputized people that don't have proper training.
No.
We're talking about people that they put in here that are basically now legalized vigilantes.
Well, we've never been the best at training police forces in this country. And I will say that police have done similar awful actions. What's different is the coordinated attack on the population.
Look, I'm not,
that is the new thing.
I'm not saying that law enforcement is perfect. They aren't. However, they at least have training. Some of these people are deputized, are moved into these positions without any training. Do you know how to shoot a gun? Okay, here. And they're allowed to wear masks. There's just so many things that they're being allowed to do, not even allowed to do, they're being instructed, physically instructed to do by our federal government. So you're right, we're past the point of voting this out, because not even the midterm elections is going to stop this, because we already see that our administration is doing whatever they want to do. Period. And I think you're right. This is time. It's time to stand up and link arms and sit down and do nothing. Close all the businesses. Close everything. We might all have to eat top ramen and turn the lights off. But
you look at places like France and other nations that dealt with like going down this road. It's either that, or we're all going to have to start painting face paint and go into the woods and pretend we're Che Guevara. And I'm just bad at that, kids. I'm just like, we have to start thinking about more than just like the No Kings rallies were cute, but we now have to think about a little bit more like civil disobedience and more like disrupt the economy style things. Because guess what? If Jeff Bezos can't make any money, magically ICE might not kill people anymore. Isn't that awful how that might work in this country? But that is how it tends to work in this country.
But we now have a class of capitalist oligarchs who are no longer, you cannot really face them. Larry Ellison owns Oracle and Paramount. Okay, we can stop watching Paramount. We can stop boycott all their movies. But Oracle, how are we going to protect, make
if
Oracle
we
less
start doing
money?
things like national strikes where no one shows up to work, even if for like the whole country shuts down, that will freak out. That's brought down governments in other countries.
I mean, it did help. It did help with some of the tariff stuff. I mean, I deal with it on a regular basis for work, and then some major companies did step in and said, "Hey, your tariffs aren't working." And we saw some reverses. So there is some pushback, but unfortunately, we are talking about
human lives, not just
I know.
But we're also talking about a minority of people that have to get their butt into gear, because unfortunately, it's going to take the majority. Like we're talking about a massive shutdown of everything to then make the few people who have the purse strings. And it's sad to think that all human life is garnered by the human dollar. But that's what we're looking at right now. And
well, remember, to the people that think about this, you could be next. You really could be next, because this was people who had nothing to do with the situation, and they may have pulled over to take a video.
Innocent bystander.
And if you have somebody approaching you without any kind of identification on and a mask, your reaction is going to be what it is.
Yeah, I would be like, I'm getting out of here
But
too.
you know that they're already spinning it. The reason that this nice white woman got killed is because there are minorities in your neighborhood. Kick them out and we won't bother you. And you know what? Half the cowards are going to kick the minorities out. Doesn't matter if you know them.
Yep. Well, everybody, be careful out there. And there is no other queer media profit platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.